Something really dangerous is going on in the tech world right now. And if you've been paying attention to the markets, you'll know a ton of money is being poured into AI. It's exciting. And if you've invested in a company like Nvidia, which has a market cap of nearly $5 trillion, you've probably made a lot of money. But what if I told you there's a massive AI bubble forming? And China is set to pop this bubble and disrupt the industry forever. This was first reported last month by Bloomberg. In this article, why circular AI deals among OpenAI, Nvidia, AMD are raising eyebrows. You see, this image shows us exactly how the US economy is functioning. Tech giants aren't actually creating value anymore. They're just passing money around. OpenAI pays Oracle billions, Oracle buys Nvidia chips, and Nvidia invests back into AI startups. It's a financial merry-go-round, and everyone's pretending it's growth. On paper, it makes the US economy look strong. I mean, the Dow Jones is up nearly 14% this year. And of course, Trump is taking credit and claiming America has entered into its golden age. But this headline should scare everyone. The value of Nvidia now exceeds 16% of US GDP. The US economy is dangerously overleveraged, and Wall Street is betting blind. The vast majority of this insane valuation comes from the hype that AI will be a miracle technology. And don't get me wrong, AI is incredible, and it has already become a part of our daily lives. I'll show you how in just a second. But there is one major problem here. American AI companies don't have a clear pathway to achieving the revenue needed to justify these insane valuations. While on the other side of the world, China is taking an entirely different approach to AI and will become the catalyst that pops America's AI bubble in the future. Now, I know that's a bold claim, but we actually have the CEO of America's biggest company supporting this statement. In a groundbreaking interview with the Financial Times, Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang proclaimed to the world that China, not the United States, will win the AI race. And he specifically outlines two main reasons for this. I'm going to break them down in today's video, but also highlight why the US has a lot more to fear than just losing the AI race to China. You see, China's journey to get to this point actually started 70 years ago, when Mao Zedong said a quote so profound, he literally predicted exactly what is happening right now. On October 29, 1955, Chairman Mao stated, "Our goal is to catch up with the United States, and moreover, to surpass the United States. Exactly how many decades it will take depends on everyone's efforts. At least 50 years, perhaps 75 years. 75 years would be 15 five-year plans. Only on the day we catch up with and surpass the United States will we be able to breathe a sigh of relief." Huge thanks to geopolitical analyst Arnaud Bertrand for sharing that quote, because it's absolutely vital to understanding what's happening between the US and China today. China has now entered its 15th five-year plan, exactly what Mao envisioned. And China is now surpassing the United States. And it's these five-year plans from China that mark the biggest difference between these two nations. In the US, governments change every 4 years, and progress stalls in endless bureaucracy. But in China, a long-term, top-down system means once a national goal is set, it gets done, and it gets done fast. During China's last five-year plan, the government set out to become the world leader in renewable energy, and look at what's happened. China now dominates battery technology, electrical vehicles, and controls the entire supply chain of solar panels. China's government is now targeting the AI industry for the next 5 years and just launched the AI Plus Action Plan, which will integrate AI across the entire Chinese economy. But here's the major difference. China's AI plan is specifically productivity focused, prioritizing AI and actual real-world solutions that can improve people's lives today. China is using AI to power industries like robotics, medicine, and smart city solutions. While in the US, much of the AI boom revolves around companies like OpenAI, which build large language models used for chatbots and content generation. But now we come to the main argument from Jensen Huang and why he feels that China will ultimately win the AI race. These reasons are huge, but first, since this video is all about AI, I thought I would show you a cool device that actually uses AI and, most importantly, can improve your life. You see, as a geopolitical YouTuber, I'm constantly reading, interviewing guests, and taking notes to turn hours of information into clear scripts. The truth is, it's overwhelming. Some days I end up with hours of messy recordings and can't even remember who said what. And that's why I started using Plaud, my AI note-taking assistant, that genuinely changed the way I work. With one press, it starts recording, completely hands-free. But Plaud doesn't just record. It turns everything into clean, accurate text and organizes it into a summary with key points and action items. Last month, I was in Malaysia giving a keynote speech at an investing conference. I brought the Plaud Note with me. credit card size that clips to my phone and records up to 30 hours on a single charge with crystal clear audio, even in noisy rooms. It automatically recognized each speaker, transcribes it into 112 different languages, and summarized the insights before I even got back to my hotel. If I had tried that with my phone, the battery would have died, the mic would have missed half the room, and I'd hit the storage limit about halfway through, and I would still be sorting through useless files. That's when I realized this little device saves me hours every day. And when I'm on the go, between interviews, events, or catching ideas, I switch to the Note Pin. It's smaller than a battery, clips to my shirt, and records up to 20 hours completely hands-free. Later, when I was reviewing my conference notes, I asked Plaud, what did that economist say about the US dollar outlook? And it pulled up the exact answer in seconds. Since I often deal with sensitive conversations, privacy really matters to me. And Plaud is one of the most privacy-certified AI tools in the world, trusted by professionals everywhere. Everything stays secure, fully under my control. If you're a business professional, student, or just someone who hates taking notes, Plaud AI will change how you work. Check it out using the link in the description or scan the QR code and use Cyrus20 for 20% off during the biggest sale of the year. Remember how I mentioned that China's last 5-year plan was all about dominating renewable energy? Well, it worked. China now produces more electricity than any other nation on Earth, and it's still expanding fast, while the US power grid has barely grown in 2 decades. Honestly, this graph alone might explain why China will win the AI race. And that's exactly what NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang pointed out in his interview. AI growth depends on power. China understands that, and it's giving its tech companies a massive edge with cheap, government-backed energy. The second reason Jensen Huang believes China will win the AI race is regulation, or rather, the lack of it. In the United States, every state wants to write its own AI laws, which means we could soon see 50 different sets of rules strangling innovation before it even begins. Huang warned that this kind of political chaos is already slowing progress across the West, where governments seem more focused on fear and cynicism than opportunity. China, on the other hand, has taken the complete opposite approach. Its national strategy is clear, centralized, and execution-driven. The AI Plus Action Plan gives companies permission to build fast, integrating AI across every sector of the economy with minimal red tape. Now, for most Westerners, this might be hard to understand, because China is often seen as a rigid, one-party state with strict rules. But in the case of AI, it's actually China that's showing what a free market for innovation looks like. If the US wants to compete with China long-term, it will have to learn from this, to think bigger, act faster, and adopt a more open mindset. The AI race won't be won by who develops it first, but by who implements it fastest. And right now, that's China. But as I mentioned at the start of the video, the dangers of the US strategy towards AI development are much deeper than just losing a technology race to China. The US speculation-driven approach to AI could literally collapse the US economy. You see, without an emphasis on real-world applications of AI, the technology in the US has essentially become one giant gamble that is single-handedly propping up the entire US economy. Earlier last month, a Harvard economist warned that without data centers, GDP growth in the US was just 0.1% in the first half of 2025, almost warranting a recession by itself. But the warning signs don't stop there. Check out this incredible article entitled, "You Have No Idea How Screwed OpenAI Actually Is." And if you want to see the giant red flags for the US AI industry, this article reveals the truth. Because in the first half of 2025, OpenAI made $4.3 billion in revenue, but posted a net loss of $13.5 billion. That means that OpenAI is losing about 3 times more money than it's earning, and is on track to post a $27 billion net loss by the end of the year. Let me explain that in an even more simple way. For every dollar of revenue growth OpenAI has, it's costing them $7.77. Now, many of you know that I'm an active investor, and these fundamentals are downright scary. And I have to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, who honestly needs a lesson in humility. Just take a look at this clip to see what I mean.
Where is it that a team from India, 3 super smart engineers with, not 100 million, but let's say 10 million, could actually build something truly substantial?
Look, the way this works is we're going to tell you it's totally hopeless to compete with us on training foundation models. You shouldn't try, and it's your job to try anyway. And I believe both of those things. I think it is pretty hopeless, but.
That clip came from an investing conference at the start of the year. And ironically, just 2 months later, China released DeepSeek AI, which did exactly what the indie investor asked and what Sam Altman said could never be done: outperform OpenAI and do it with a fraction of the budget. But here is where the story gets even more ridiculous. Just last week, Sam Altman tweeted, "We expect to end this year above $20 billion in annualized revenue run rate and are looking at commitments of about $1.4 trillion over the next 8 years." Let's be honest, there is no way that OpenAI can commit to $1.4 trillion investment. And notice how Sam Altman immediately switches to panic mode when an investor calls him out on these insane numbers.
How can the company with $13 billion in revenues make $1.4 trillion of spend commitments?
We're doing well more revenue than that. Second of all, Brad, if you want to sell your shares, I'll find you a buyer. So I think we could sell, your shares or anybody else's to some of the people who are making the most noise on Twitter, whatever, about this very quickly.
Notice how Sam didn't even answer the question. He knows there's no chance OpenAI could make this type of investment, and actually he's hoping the US government will come in and secure his venture and give his company a bailout when eventually they all run out of money.
At some level, when something gets sufficiently huge, whether or not they are on paper, the federal government is kind of the insurer of last resort, as we've seen in various financial crises and insurance companies screwing things up.
To put this in simple terms, OpenAI expects US taxpayers to pay the bill to bail them out when the AI bubble pops. It's becoming increasingly clear that the US approach to AI is putting the entire economy at risk. Companies like NVIDIA and OpenAI are certainly driving the AI industry in the US, but they are doing so at a tremendous cost, with little to show in terms of tangible, sustainable progress. The financial bubble surrounding AI investments is dangerously inflated, putting the US on a collision course with a major economic crisis. On the other hand, China's approach to AI is rooted in practicality, with the government's long-term planning and strong infrastructure creating a solid foundation for growth. By focusing on real-world applications, industrial use cases, and measurable progress, China is positioning itself to dominate the global AI market. As the head of the industry, Jensen Huang has pointed out, the foundations for victory have already been laid out by China. Now the US must decide whether it's going to keep playing the speculative game or pivot to a more sustainable, real-world approach before it loses the race or even its entire economy. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's deep dive into the AI race. And once again, thank you to Plaud AI for making a device that shows how AI can actually improve your life. Remember, click the link down below and save 20% off your order today. Once again, thank you all for your incredible support, and I look forward to seeing you all in our next video soon.